things real estate, money matters. All things real estate, money matters.
Hi, welcome to our channel where we talk all things real estate and money matters. Today is the first of many series that we will cover on real estate investing one-on-one for beginners. I often get a lot of investors that ask me questions about how can they invest. They come to me, they say they've been pre-approved, and Latanya helped me find a property. Well, my first question to them is always, what's your investment strategy? And most of the time, for my beginner investors, keep that in mind because my advanced investors definitely know. But for the beginning investors, they usually don't know. So this series is basically to help you to understand and to be able to answer that question, what's your investing strategy? Now, there are typically two investment strategies. You have your buy and hold, which is for long-term passive income. There's also the fix and flip strategy, where you will resell quickly for a quick return on your investment. Okay, now we're going to deep dive into the buy and hold strategy. Now, just to help you understand exactly what the buy and hold strategy consists of, it's normally where you purchase a rental property to generate monthly income, regardless to if it's short term, long term, or Airbnb. You're basically purchasing the property to generate a recurring income. Now, typically you hold the property 5 years or more. Okay, the investor also would typically refi it or sell it off once the market actually appreciates, far as their asset appreciates in value, and then the time is right, they'll go ahead and sell. So that's typically the strategy of someone who is looking to buy and hold. Now, the next thing is with the buy and hold strategy, there are several types, whether it's the long-term rentals, okay, which you may be familiar with this, which is basically having a rental property, right, where you're a landlord and you have a tenant and you put it in there. A long-term rental is anything where the tenant will be there for 12 months or more. You rent it out for 12 months or more. Now, short-term rentals or corporate executive rentals, there's several different names, but basically what it all comes to is that in a short-term rental, typically that's anything less than a 12-month term, okay? Now, when you get to your Airbnb, that is your short term as well, but that typically they don't stay. This 90 days or less would be your Airbnb. And then you have your new construction, that'll be a bonus round for you, where we'll talk about the strategy of the new construction investing, where you basically would buy the property in phase one. Okay, so those are your four basic types of buy and hold. Now, next, we're going to talk about long-term rentals and what are the benefits. Okay. Now, when you get a long-term rental, it comes with several benefits. So one of them, first of all, is recurring rent. So every single month, you have rent coming in. It's passive income that you don't have to work for. It just comes in once you get a good tenant and the property is rented. The next thing is the long-term appreciation, because when you have an investment property, such as a rental property, basically you have a tenant in there that's paying rent to you monthly. And at the same time, that money is going towards your principal and buying down your debt if you have a mortgage on it. And at the same time, it's growing in equity. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of it. And the other is the tax benefits. Whenever there's repairs to the property, you're able to write some of those repairs off. And I would say I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax advisor. I strongly recommend that you talk to your advisor to find out exactly what those benefits are and how you can take advantage of all the tax benefits that come with it. I do know you don't have to pay that capital gains taxes, especially if you're holding 5 years or more. The other thing is it hedges against inflation, like what we're going through right now, because typically what would happen, let's say, for instance, you have purchased this rental property, let's say back when interest rates were in the threes or 2%. Well, right now, as you all know, we're in what, 5-6%, and they're steady going up. So with that being said, you are basically have a property where the interest rate was much lower, and you're not having to deal with those higher interest rates. So you're in a much better situation as far as your money than those that are going out currently, getting a loan and now trying to invest based on the current interest rate. So that's a great plus for you. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the raw with the long-term investments. One of them is the unexpected maintenance. Okay. When you have an investment property, you must maintain the property, right? If you have a tenant or someone you're renting to, whether it's short-term, long-term, you must maintain the property. You can get those unexpected maintenance, things like the HVAC system go out. Or let's say the roof, right? All of a sudden you got a roof leak, you need to replace the roof. So those are some of the things that, you risk when you're having a long-term rental. Along with that, there's local government imposed rent controls, like what we just went through, right, with the pandemic, where, sometimes the tenants may get a chance to stay on your property. And I think there was a lot of investors where tenants did not pay them for almost a year, 2 years. So that's a high risk to you, right? The other thing is it requires a lot of your time. You must manage the property. You have to collect the rent, maintain the property, do the maintenance. You have to make sure you get a good tenant, move them out, fund the security deposit, start that vicious cycle all over again, right? And then you also have your vacancy loss, rent loss, evictions, right? So if the tenant doesn't pay, you got to evict them. Or the property is vacant and it's taking you several months to get it rented, right? So those are risks when you're dealing with a long-term rental, such as a rental property. Okay. Now let's talk about how you can minimize those risks, because there are things that you can put to minimize that, right? So some of the things that you can do to minimize your risk would be invest for you should invest in properties for cash flow versus appreciation, right? So what you want to do is make sure that the cash flow is there, because typically what happens is rents will prove, or sorry, I'm stumbling on my words, y'all, so please forgive me. But just know that rents have proved to be resilient as far as just maintaining exactly what the rental amount is, right? So let's say, for instance, you rent a property out for $2,000 a month. Okay. Typically the rent doesn't go down, right? You don't go from 2,000 down to 1,500, but you usually go from 2,000, maybe 2,050, 2,100, 2,300, where rent continues to appreciate, right? So that's the great thing about your investment when you're renting it, based on cash flow versus your purchase a property and you're just looking at how it's going to appreciate. Okay. So just keep in mind that look at the cash flow versus the appreciation of it. Okay. And if you can get both, oh my God, that's even better. Okay. The other thing is avoid low end rentals. Okay. And the reason I say that is because you go buy a rental property, right? It looks great on paper, cash flow, everything looks great. However, what it did not take in consideration was the fact that you have all these repairs because somebody keeps breaking into your property. Whether they break in and take the plumbing out, or they just break in and knock on your doors and you got to keep replacing the doors, taking appliances out, whatever it is. If you're not in a good area, right, and you purchase just because, you can get, for less, and the paperwork and everything looks great and the numbers are great, but it's in a bad area, know that you need to make sure that you incorporate the fact that you're going to have to pay for anything that is vandalized to your property. Okay. The next thing is thoroughly screening your tenants. I cannot repeat that enough. It is extremely important that you do that on the front end. And that means making sure that you do credit check, rental history, nationwide eviction search on them. You want to make sure you do a criminal search on them, right? You must make sure that you have quality tenants in your property. Okay. Otherwise, you will pay dearly later. And so it's very important. That is not something that you can skip. Okay, or just trust family, friends, or someone. Oh, I'll just let you rent it and hope and pray that they'll pay the rent. Because I can tell you, I have ran into more than enough investors that have done that. And now they have a tenant that they're trying to evict and they just can't get rid of them, right? And it's going to cost them a lot of money. And just so you know, evictions typically can run anywhere from $500 to thousands of dollars, okay? So you want to try to avoid that. And the way that you avoid it is just thoroughly screening your tenant. The next thing is that you want to make sure that you hire a professional property manager to do everything on your behalf. That way, you don't have to worry about minimizing your risks by going, doing the background check or managing the property and all of that. You can get all your time back, right? You can make sure that the property is taken care of, well maintained, maintenance. And you can make sure that, they're moving them in, moving them out, doing everything on your behalf while you're out there doing what? Finding another rental property for you to actually generate a cash flow on. So let the property managers handle that piece for you, and you do what you do best, and that is going to acquire another property, growing your portfolio so that way you can build wealth. Okay? Now, all being said, my question to you is, what is your investment strategy? Is it buy and hold, long-term rentals? Is this investment type really for you? If you're not sure, please stay tuned because our next video will go deep dive into short-term rentals as well as Airbnb. That way you can make a decision. All right, do I want to do long-term rentals, or maybe I want to look at short-term Airbnb? With that being said, if you want to make sure that you get the alert and that you're up to date on all of our videos as they come out, please like, subscribe, share. All right, talk to you and see you in the next video.
This concludes our session for today. If you're interested in investing in Georgia, please check out our website for all your real estate needs. Thanks for watching. All things real estate, money, money matters. All things real estate, money, money matters.